Because I had a request for what I do with the tulip bulbs that were in containers after I'm done with them, I thought I would show you what I'm doing. About 2 months ago, I emptied some of these containers. First and foremost, you want to let those greens dry out. You want to let all of the energy go back into the plant. You want to make sure you don't cut the greens off too soon. You want to let the greens feed the bulbs so that they'll have energy to produce for the following year. And then by early July, they start drying up. And at that time, you can dig them or dump them if you're in containers and collect the bulbs. So I did that back in July. And then I had stored these containers with the tulips in them in my garage for the last 2 months. I am now going to take another look at them, and at this time I'm going to dump them out and get some of the dried stuff off. So you want to make sure you get all the moisture off them. So I just pack them loosely in these containers, but I easily could have just simply put them in the craft bags, but they were kind of wet, so I started with the containers. So what I'm going to do is to dump these out a little bit here. Hopefully I can do this without having the wind in the mic. So if you don't know, tulips grow kind of like garlic. So when you put them in the ground over the winter, they split. So this would have been one whole tulip bulb, and when I pull it apart, you can see that it's split over the winter, and that's how they multiply. And I'm going to remove some of this brown stuff. Make sure that the bulbs that I got left are still firm. And then I'm going to put it in one of these craft bags. I'll do a temporary container for right now. I'll just put them in here for now on. I'm just going to simply keep breaking them apart. This variety is actually red jumbo. When I bought these bulbs, it said Rolando on it, but they are definitely not Rolando. If you're buying red bulbs from big box store and it says Rolando, know that it's probably a red jumbo. I don't know why they have a weird name on it. It also showed as being burgundy, which they're not burgundy, they're red, just like a red jumbo. Again, I'm just kind of taking the firm bulbs out, and this really light stuff I'm putting in a bin that I'm going to take to my recycling. Some of these really tiny ones I'm just going to put in the compost. But this is a nice sized bulb here. So this is a great way to get more bulbs and plant in an area that you need. There's no sense in throwing them out. I live in zone 4, so here tulips will overwinter nicely in the ground, and they will continue to multiply. I've had some tulips for over 10 years. The variety that I have that has not worked well for me over a long period of time are the parrot variety of tulips, or the fringed tulips. They have not worked really good for me, but it's kind of a fun project. It's a nice autumny day out this morning here in this potting area. Just getting the dried petals off it, and I'm going to put the rest of them in the bin. So once I get done, I've got them in this scoop here, and then I have one of these craft bags, which I really like because they got really strong handles, and I'm simply going to put all of them in the bag, and that's how I'm going to store them until I plant. And then I'll scoop up the scraps and put it in a bin that I'll take to my composting area. Might be some tiny bulbs in there, but that's fine. Here I have some more containers that I've left set all summer, and the tulips have dried up and they're ready to have me harvest these bulbs. I just didn't get to these earlier, so we're going to do that now. One of the things that I want to mention is this really handy crate that I got at Menards. So I want to show you how well engineered this is. You simply pull up on the little orange handles, and this folds down into a nice flat crate. And then to reinstitute it into a box, you simply pull it up and it locks in place. Kudos to the engineer that developed this. I love it. I'm using it for gardening and garage storage, as well as grocery pickup. Again, they're at Menards. I think I only paid $5 for this. Great box. So this is what the dried tulip looks like. And you just simply pull it out and it comes out beautifully. And you can put that in your recycling or your composting. This variety is called Flaming Flag. Just gonna pull kind of the weeds and stuff out of it, the dried up stuff. Get that out of there first of all. This is a big weed, so again, I'm just gonna put it in my composting bin. Should be fine. When I kind of get it cleaned off, then I'm gonna dump it over on my potting bench here. Then what I simply am going to do is just kind of break this up. So the top portion does not have any bulbs in it, so it's kind of nice to just kind of sweep away. And I will reuse this potting soil for some other things. I got to pot up some trees. And then you start picking through and you start to find the bulbs. They look pretty dried up, but that's fine. So we'll set those to the side. Make sure I got everything out of there. I'm going to keep busting this up. And kind of leveling it out helps to expose the bulbs so you can kind of pick them out of there. I'm going to pick the whole ones for now. Like I said, you can do this as soon as the tulips turn brown or start dying back. They would have done their job and put all of the energy back into the tulip bulbs, or hyacinths, or daffodils, whichever bulbs you've got. So I am going to, and you want to check to make sure they're not soft. Now the other ones had dried for quite a while. These ones will dry at least a few days before I plant them. I probably won't plant for a couple of weeks. I've got a new area of the garden that I'm going to try to create, and I think that's where I'm going to put these. It's always easiest to plant tulip bulbs or spring bulbs in a very fresh garden because you got fresh soil, so, or compost. I'm going to do 100% compost in mine. And it's just easy. You just push them in or pile them on and cover it up. Now this one's soft. There's nothing there, so I'm going to put that in the compost. Kind of again smoothing it out, making sure I got everything. This is really quite an easy process. Just let time do its thing. The key is to have a place to put it, to let them do their thing kind of out of your way, because it is kind of an ugly sight. So I'm going to continue and do the same thing. I'm going to break these apart. And they are kind of damp yet, so these really need to dry more so they don't rot. And take the little hard bubbles or bulbs. I'm going to finish this off. And in some of these, they're kind of damp because I did water that area where these were stored yesterday. So they are a little damp in some cases. And I'm not going to try to force it. If they come apart easily like this, then I do that. Or I will just simply put them in a bag and let them dry a little bit. Make sure they're dry before I go and plant them. I have my garage is, you don't want to store these in the sun, so I store mine just in my garage. So because these are wet, I'm going to put them in another bag. I do have a bag of dried, I do have a bag of dried Flaming Flag tulips, but because these are damp, I want them to be by themselves as to not contaminate the other ones, just in case. I will put them in. The other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to put a date on this so I know I did these later. I'm just going to put a month on. This is September versus July when I dug the other ones up. So in the end, I'm going to go put these back in my garage and wait for it to cool off, maybe another month. If this video is helpful, give us a thumbs up so YouTube knows to share this content with others. Also consider subscribing so you don't miss any of our other great content. Thanks for stopping by. Have a great day.